Well, now over to the parallel bars for the final performance from Vitaly Scherbo, the wonder kid of men's gymnastics. He is such a pleasure to watch because he does very exciting and entertaining routines. He just seems to know how to find the handstand every time. The back toss is right on top. And a pike double back. He nails his landings like a knife going into a soft mat. He just cuts it like a dart.
But I really think it's a combination of his incredible talent, but also the level of the intensity of his work. His workouts, he says, are so advanced. He puts so many hours into the gym, and they say that they really work harder than everybody in the world.
His dismount is the pike double back somersault. Look at the form, and he lands like a dart landing into a dartboard. He never moves. The score on the uneven bars for Piskun is 9.575. We wait on the score for Vitaly Scherbo. 9.566 is his score. So there is room for the American pair of Carrie Strug and Chris Waller. Before we get a chance to see the final American pair, we turn now to the Chinese team, Hei Shua Mei on the balance beam. And although they're not really in contention for first place here, this is one really spectacular balance beam routine to watch.
Moving right along, our next competitor will be on women's balance.
Like all her Chinese teammates, she is so beautiful on this event, always showing full flexibility. There's a much more creative approach to choreography on this event than most of the other countries. Watch this mount. She pressed up to the handstand. Now this is a skill we've seen quite often on men's parallel bars.
Looks like a pretty rough landing there.
Beautiful extension. This is a very difficult skill. Should be a round off, full twisting back.
Oh!
Oh no. Ooh, that's a bad miss on balance beam. Hopefully she was able to miss the side of her body on the beam. You can see she has a slight bruise on her leg. That's from a landing similar to that, where you hit the beam a little.
You know, Kathy, there's some controversy. Some people seem to think that the judges requiring the gymnast to do such a high level of difficulty is maybe forcing the gymnast to try too difficult of moves. Do you feel that's the truth?
I actually don't, Bart. I really don't think a gymnast would perform a skill that they were not capable of performing at least 10 out of 10 times in a practice session successfully.
And actually, it seems like the gymnasts want to do the hard moves anyway, whether the judges require it or not.
Right, that's not the only part of the change in the code of points. They're also encouraging the combination of elements and original skills. So it's not just the extra difficult skills they're looking for. Watch the control she has on this skill. Lifts one arm up and just twists right down. And unfortunately, this is one of the most difficult skills being done on balance beam. She does it in laid out position, and I have never seen it done in that position. Yeah, I think she caught just by a little her side as she came down the beam.
This evening and competing for his country of China on still rings. Please welcome back again.
We move now to her teammate, Li Da Shuang. He'll be performing on the still rings. There's a tremendous emphasis by the judges in requiring the gymnast to show a lot of strength moves. Let's see what he uses here. There's a plunge and a press to a handstand. A requirement, you must press to a handstand. Two more strength moves. It's imperative that the gymnasts hold the rings very steady in the hold positions like the handstand there. And a laid out double back somersault. All right, well, that routine is not going to have enough difficulty to score really well.
And Bart, one more word on the difficulty level and if they're encouraging gymnasts to do too difficult skills. And I said I didn't think so. These skills have been done years and years ago. What they're encouraging them to do now is take the risk and perform them, but it's not a risk of health or injury.
Right.
It's a risk of hitting them and taking a deduction for a fall or a missed element.
The score now for the Chinese pair in the final round. Hay had a 9.1 on the balance beam, and Lee on the rings had an 8.966. And still to come, we have the U.S. team of Chris Waller and Carrie Struck as they try to take the title away from the team from Belarus.
Like TNT. Nobody.
U.S. Olympic gold has been brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits.
Carrie Strug now ready to perform on the balance beam. This is the final mixed pair team performance tonight. She and her teammate Chris Waller have to average a 9.6 in these routines if they hope to take the lead and win this title.
When she performed this exact routine at the American Cup, the start value of the routine is a 9.9, which is the maximum she can score.
On women's balance beam, 9.1.
She has a routine with a super value, as you mentioned, a 9.9. Chris Waller has a routine on the rings that isn't worth as much, so he'll have to be very clean and have no execution errors.
6.9 for China.
It's interesting, she has a skill in this routine that she presented to the judges. It's actually not in the code of points yet, and they valued it as a D, which is certainly to her benefit. I'll be sure and point that out when she performs it.
From the United States, Miss Carrie Strug.
She's only 15 years old. She's been in 2 World Championships and 1 Olympics, and she could go a long way still.
One of the requirements on balance beam to perform a gymnastics series. She also gets bonus for that, 0.2 of a point for combining 2 difficult gymnastics elements. And that's a back height somersault. I think what they'd ultimately like to see it as is a layout. That's her skill, switch leg into a straddle jump. They have valued that as a D element. As I was saying, the pike, they'd like to see that in the layout position. Then she can get that 0.1 of a point bonus, and her routine would be worth a 10. The judges have said they're going to be very, very strict on awarding those extra bonus points. They really want the skill done properly and with full amplitude. Step outside.
Very aggressive routine.
I have to tell you, this is very good for Carrie because she told us a while back. Nice routine. She told us a while back that sometimes she gets too nervous in competition and will have misses. And it's important for her to show herself that she can handle this kind of pressure.
Well, a slight smile from Carrie Strug, and then back to the seriousness. This was an exciting pass.
Once again, this meet is being taped and will be replayed.
These are her layout step outs. Of course, the deduction here will be the slight leg bends, something she really wants to work on before the World Championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, the final competitor.
This puts a lot of pressure on her teammate, Chris Waller, getting ready to perform on the still rings. Chris has had some success on the rings.
Please welcome back Chris Waller.
He was a bronze medalist in the Goodwill Games back in 1990 in Seattle on this event. L cross. Kip to another L cross. The score for Carrie Strug is a 9.6. As we mentioned, they have to average 9.6, so Waller would need to match that score. So far, he's very clean, a little high in the inverted iron cross. That'll be tough to get the full points for that move. Holding the handstands very solid. Nice dismount. Let's take a look at that dismount. It's a laid-out double back with a full twist. He does take a slight hop on the landing. And keep in mind, at the recent American Cup, that routine only scored 9.35. So it's going to be tough for Waller to get the 9.6.
Okay, your scores are in for Carrie Strug on balance beam from the United States at 9.6.
Okay, the scores for the American pair, 9.6 as we mentioned for Carrie Strug, and on rings for Chris Waller, only a 9.333, so not enough.
We're going to look on those totals, though, until the award ceremony, which will happen in just a few seconds.
So here are your final standings. The team from Belarus, Piskun and Sherbo, take the first prize. Second place goes to Carrie Strug and Chris Waller, and Hay and Lee from China get the bronze. Kathy Johnson is with our second place team, Carrie Strug and Chris Waller.
Carrie, Chris, it was so close. We're talking tenths of a point. Now, Carrie, you have to be proud of yourself. I remember you telling me you used to get so nervous sometimes in competition that you'd have a miss. You were just solid as could be today.
Yeah, I'm happy with my performance overall. I had no major breaks this whole week, and so I was happy with that. But there's still room for improvement. I had some minor bobbles and not some stick landings that maybe we could have won it if I had. But, you know, if we're going to be second, like Chris said, I'm fine to be second to Sherbo.
And Chris, I said this to Lance, the code is what is really getting you guys. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, the code is pretty scary. Seeing scores come up after a great routine that's a 9.3 or 9.25, you know, 9.4s are unusual. So that's scary, but the most important thing is go out and do the best routine you can. And I did a bunch of good routines, and I was paired with the best girl here tonight, so I'm happy.
You both did great routines. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations to all the gymnasts in tonight's competition. For many of them, they're off to Birmingham, England for the World Gymnastics Championships. Well, that's the story from here in Atlanta at the Reebok International Mixed Pairs Gymnastics Competition. For Kathy Johnson, I'm Bart Connor. We'll see you next time.
A footnote for gymnastics, the World Championships were held in Birmingham, England this weekend, and six-time Olympic gold medalist Vitaly Sherbo has won the men's all-around competition, while American Shannon Miller picked up the gold and Dominique Dawes placed fourth on the women's side. Let's roll on and take a look at what's happening next week. It's a live broadcast of diving, the U.S. Indoor Nationals from Austin, Texas. Headlining the list of competitors vying for 6 national titles is Mark Lindsay, a 6-time U.S. springboard champion. He's joined by other 92 Olympians, platform bronze medalist Mary Ellen Clark, and the silver medalist in men's platform from Barcelona, Scott Doney. So join us for the U.S. Indoor Nationals in diving on next week's U.S. Olympic Gold. Until then, I'm Nicole Watson saying good night from all of us here in Atlanta.